I'm with Rob and James Bailey just outside of Forbes in New South Wales today, and we're talking cattle rail front entrances, laying it out, what materials to use, set out, set up and fit out. We're going to get top tips today, not only on how to do the job, but the gear that you need to make the job safe and easy. Rob, thanks very much for having us out here today, mate. So Rob, the first step is to get your end posts exactly where you want them to be and then worry about the distance between them.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And you're using 100 NB green end pipe for this?
Yep.
How long do you like to use your posts?
Well, normally 3 metres.
Yep.
If there's any pressure on your fences. But this one is just a show piece, so 2.7s more than efficient.
2.7 for a show piece fence?
Yep.
3 metres for a serious fence?
Yeah, for anything that you're going to be out in the stock, you know, with cattle pushing on, around water troughs, things like that.
Now there's a lot of commercial kits that only come with a 2.4 and a lot of people use 2.4 and
yep.
You reckon that's just not adequate, mate?
Well, I find they move too much.
Yep.
They're not in the ground far enough.
Yep.
For my liking.
So if you're going to step up to give a professional contractor job, go for a 3 metre post.
Go for a 3 metre. Pay the extra few dollars.
Yep.
And the results in the end will speak for themselves. We're a big believer in safety. You only got one set of eyes and your hearing, most important.
Well, that was real quick. So people that are worried about 3 metre posts needn't be.
No.
They drive real quick if you're using the right machine.
Yeah, correct. They drive very quick, space of 30 seconds.
And that is, as they say in the classics, not going anywhere, is it?
Shouldn't be, no. No, should not go anywhere.
Now I do notice you're using a Thor post driver.
Correct, yep.
On a little bobcat.
Yeah, just a simple little bobcat. You can run them on a smaller machine. No worries at all. Not a trouble, not a drama at all.
Now you're not a small contractor, are you? You do a fair few end assemblies. You've done some big jobs.
We've done some big jobs. One job alone, there was 14,000 posts that we've driven in.
With a Thor.
With a Thor.
That is unbelievable.
And have not had a single problem. Not a problem.
Do you find them easier to control or harder to control than having the mast? Because when the mast's there and you've got the controls right beside you, you can get your tilt all in one motion. With this, you're using the machine a lot more.
The machine does all the work. They control the machine, the header, the post driver, that controls the post. The post doesn't move around, doesn't bounce around a lot.
Yep.
Where a lot of the other hammers, you'll find that your post actually bounces around a lot.
Right.
With these headers, they don't.
Because it's got the step tool that sits inside the post and it controls your post better, you reckon?
Correct. You've got a lot more control over your post.
Okay.
Your post doesn't move and slop and bounce around.
Yep.
You can move your post to or away just with the flick of a lever.
Now, you haven't always used a Thor?
No.
What made you change, mate?
Had a very close call to death. So got hit with a drop hammer.
Yep.
Over the post like that, stepped in and put a chain around and the hip.
So sometimes people will, it's quite common practice, if you're using the mast to control where your post is, you'll quite often put a snig chain around the post and that allows you to pull the post over without having to touch it while you're driving it, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
So you were putting your arm around the post to put the chain on, and what happened?
Yeah, so put the chain around, went to slide the chain up and the hip has hit the lever and down come the mast.
Because the hand controls on drop hammers are often very close to where the mast is, aren't they?
Yes.
And so you've accidentally hit that. You've probably been working for several hours, getting fatigued.
Yeah,
and you've just doing the same thing you've done every day, and you've come in and hit those controls.
Yep, just bumped that control.
What happened then, mate?
Well, it dropped the hammer on, took a big bite out, and flown to Sydney, 60 seconds when we got to the hospital.
And this bloke was there?
Yeah, thank Christ.
Saved your life with a belt?
Yeah, with a belt. Yeah, took his belt off and we wrapped the arm up, slowed the bleeding down, and hightailed it into the hospital.
What happened to that machine?
It scrapped, cut in half.
You didn't sell it to someone else?
No.
You cut it in half?
Cut her in half, and then about 4 or 5 days later, was discussions with the wife, and we decided that we'd go to the Thor machine, just for the safety factor that no one is near that post when you're hitting it.
And years later, you reckon you're not losing any time, you're probably gaining time by using it?
Gained tremendous amount of time.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So throw the mast, gain time,
throw them in the bin.
Gain safety.
Yep, yep. Throw the mask in the bin, go the Thor.
5 years later and I'm still on the dumb end.
Our measurement here is 1350, 13 metres 500. And then what we'll do is we'll just calculate and do that by 3.
So you need a 3 metre spacing between your posts?
3 metre spacings.
And that's primarily because your rail comes in 6 metre lengths?
Rails are 6 metres, so 3 metre increments, and you don't have a lot of wastage.
So now we mark out the posts to 2.7 centres on a straight line?
Yep, on a straight line. So we'll run a string line now, then we'll mark out 2.7 and bang them posts in.
So what we normally do is go around the post and then tie back to our end assembly just to keep it all uniform.
So same thing, we're just going to go around the side of that post, and that'll give us a true line of the actual line. You're not tying off to the string line, because if you do that, you're going to pull the string line into the centre of your post and you won't end up with a dead straight line.
So that means you're driving your posts to the face edge?
To the face edge of your string line, correct. So if you ever look down a line and your first couple of panels are just a little bit skew-if, it's because the string line, they've tied off the string line to the post and it's pulled the string line to the centre of the post. Mark our centres, starting from down here. So we'll be 2.7. Paint's not real good in that dirt. 5.4. And 8.1.
Rob, James, it's like you used a laser and it only took 5 minutes, mate.
Doesn't take long.
Mate, you can tell a fence that's out of line, can't you?
You can see it a mile away. Yeah.
Driving down the road?
Driving down the road, you can pick it from a mile away. I don't know what it is, but if you're driving down the road, you'll pick something out straight away like that.
There's not many tradesmen whose work is visible from outside the property.
No,
Fences are quite unique in that respect, aren't they?
They are. A lot of houses, tradesmen, chippies and whatever, all their work's inside the house, and a lot of times behind the boards where you can't see it.
Yeah, yours is right out front.
Yeah, here it is, right next to the road. So, if Jones has done his job right, which he will do every time, and he does all the time, this post will be dead level. So that means we've only got to take one measurement now from top to top, and then we cut all 4 rails to that one measurement. If he's out, then we have to measure every rail to suit. Spend the time, get your post nice and level, and you won't have an issue. So what we can do now, because he's got the heights all correct, we can now take a measurement 30 mil down for our cap, and then we'll take our measurement from post to post, and that's where our top rail will sit. For this job, I'll just use a set square, set to 30 mil. This is the line, your line, so we just mark here, 30 mil. So because we want to be accurate to the mil, we're pulling out the telescopic measure stick, and we go center to center, and we have 2599. So we write on the post just here, and that'll just hide, the rail will actually hide where we're writing on that post. So this one is 2609, so we'll just write 2609. And because our posts are all nice and level, we've only got to take the one measurement for all 4 rails. 2606, 2589.
All right, since this rail here is 0.2 of a degree, we're just going to do a flat cut. But if it was greater than 2 degree cut, we would cut it at 2 degrees both ends, and the measurement would still be the same.
So they're about a couple $100, but the money, the time and the efficiency worth their weight in gold.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut the rails, and then once the rails are cut to length, then it comes here to a crimper, pneumatic crimper. Just press down there, and that'll actually hydraulically press and put a crimp on the colour rail, give you a more precise weld when you come to welding it onto the post. Alright, so now we're done crimping. It doesn't look like there's much crimp on there, but it does a hell of a lot when it comes to welding the rail onto the post.
So we're just going to check our rails now, and look at that, fits like a finger in the sacred place. Because we're using a Thor step tool, we can actually hit the caps straight on top. With the step tool and out here in Forbes, no rock in sight, your cap fits straight on.
Now James and Rob, high fire danger day today. The manager of the station has requested that no welding on site today.
Correct.
And you take safety seriously, so we can't complete the welds on this.
No.
But all you now have to do is cut up the rest of these rails, come back when it's safe, weld them on, job's done.
Yes, correct, yep. Hey everyone, Rob here. Unfortunately Tim couldn't be here to finish this quick little video for us. But the fire danger has passed. We've had a shower of rain, so yeah, let's get into it. So there we go, we've got all our rails cut and laid out. And these little things here are just called jigs, and we just hang them off the top rail there. About 300, 350, 400 away from the post. And we just keep dropping our rails onto the little holders there. And that'll keep all our rails all looking the same. Righto, because we've come to pre-existing strainer, which has 2 fences running off. We've got wires coming off. We're just going to take a little texture, just mark where our wires are. And we're just going to take a little grinder and just notch a little piece out, just to make it sit in there all nice and pretty.
So now that we've jigged it all up, we can come along and weld it all out. Rag, wipe all this rubbish off, and when it comes time to wire brushing and painting, it doesn't come up later on with a brown stain.
So just like Leonardo da Vinci, he's just going to paint his masterpiece. We like to give it 2 coats.
Good on you guys. Thanks very
Cheers.
much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And it's great to see great craftsmanship and great gear. If you want to see more great craftsmanship and more great gear, you know what you have to do. Subscribe to the channel. But in the meantime, do me a huge favour. Send this video to someone who you reckon could use a better entranceway. That'll really help the channel. And if you do that, I'll continue to try and find more great people like Rob and James here. Catch you next week.